Welcome to Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We talk race reviews, news from the paddock, and bring you everything from the world of Formula One. And now your hosts, Drew, Walker, Ed, and Tomas.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. Back here with all the boys reunited after the first race of the second half. We had the Dutch Grand Prix, and we started off just before we started recording, and we just checked. Did everyone watch the race this weekend?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we all watched it. We were all caught up. I'm sure all of us had a bit of Formula One withdrawal over the last few weeks, so it was nice to kind of get back into the routine and watch all the different sessions. Let's get some initial thoughts. How did we like the first race of the second half? Drew.
Booyah. It
Interesting 10 laps.
It delivered. Did it not deliver? I don't know. Was that just, I thought it absolutely delivered.
Yeah,
it was
crushed.
the perfect mix of dry, wet, and the mix up on the grid was awesome. You got to see a lot of the teams make calls, both polarizing good and bad calls, but still calls. And you saw more than just driver skill. You saw how a team worked together and how sometimes the calls that you make affect how the rest of your weekend goes. And I think there's a lot of great takeaways from this weekend. And I think there's an absolute shit ton of implosions on teams. And I think there was a big misstep with our favorite Ferrari boys. The absolute menacing time that they had trying to get wet tires on a car blew my mind. Like, I saw a clip on Instagram that just showed a picture of the entire Formula One Ferrari pit crew in the rain standing outside, and there's not one tire. The car is pulling in and there's not one tire available. Guys are standing there with their wheel guns. There's not one tire available. What did you think was going to happen? Even if you didn't have the call and that wasn't going to happen and that wasn't planned, and Leclerc or Carlos came in and they said, they came in a lap early or whatever, what do you think you're going to do? They're the only tires that are in the garage that don't have tire blankets on there. It was the quickest thing you could have done. And then you look over and you see a team like Red Bull methodically put on Perez's tires on the first lap. It's just the polarization of that. The team radios are public. They can all listen to each other's radio. So like, if you're not sure what to do, just listen to Red Bull. Like, I'll give you a secret. Like, you can just listen to Red Bull and just figure out what they do and do it a lap later and probably still do better than mid pack. So anyways, I really enjoyed it. It was a good set back to the second half of the season. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, there was a lot of goods, a lot of bads, but I want to hear what you guys got.
Well, for me, it was really fun. It was a fun race. First 10 laps was just like absolute insanity, from formation to, oh my god, the entire track is now a pool, and making the right decisions. So all boiled down to strategy, and I'm alluding to this because I have a few things I wanted to discuss with you boys, like in terms of what I noticed, and goes a little bit more into strategy. But yeah, like, it was, all in all, it was a fun race. A good stoppage too, almost close to the middle, and just a multitude of different types of strategies from different teams, and it really shows what one lap can do and what a tire change can do for the entire race. I'm talking about Lando and Lewis, and then also in comparison to Alex Albon too. So yeah, it was a good race for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually had to watch it again just to get deeper into the strategy, and it was just like, it was really fun to watch. How about you, Thomas?
I I thought this was a bang on race. It's exactly what we all needed from the break, from the first half. Probably by far so far the most entertaining race of the season to me personally. Without getting into too much of the details that we're going to talk about this episode, everything was awesome. The strategy, the calls that the teams made, the racing itself, the skills of the drivers, the amount with the weather, rain, dry again, the swaps between the cars. I really really enjoyed this race, and hoping there's way more races than like this.
I was sitting there watching the race, and it occurred to me that I feel like the theme of this race and this weekend is that the Parc Ferme boys just don't know shit about Formula One, because I feel like everything we talked about last week about McLaren, about Aston Martin, about drivers who were kind of, really excel and not, we were like proven wrong across the board.
Yeah,
McLaren
I
had a
was
great
thinking
race.
about the same thing.
Aston did a great race. It was like a big fuck you to us, because they're like, you think you know shit? You think you know Formula One? Well, you don't.
No, you don't.
And the race was, I think you all eloquently said it, that it was, exciting, lots of different strategy. It was really interesting seeing, the cars work their way through the field. I'm going to, think of Hamilton off the top. He was at the top, he was at the bottom, a few changes, he kept working his way up. That added a lot of excitement. I also want to highlight the fact that we lost Danny Rick in, I think it was free practice as well. Which was a bit of a downer, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But there was just a lot going on this weekend. Liam Lawson got his first drive, and I think he did relatively well given the conditions and given what he was put in. And it was just like a really incredible microcosm of the season that was. Between the teams that are really excelling, the competitiveness, the fact that Ferrari just couldn't get their shit together. However, the one thing that we did get right, and by we, I mean I got right, was that Gasly finished 4th. Thank you very much. I mean, he got bumped up to 3rd because of the penalty, but I'm just going to say he finished 4th. So honorable mention on the predictions. I'm just going to claim that for myself because I was very proud of myself.
I think I want to interject there. Yes, bravo, 100%. We need any wins. I think Parc Ferme as a team needs absolutely any win that we can get right now. But I want to say that we didn't get everything wrong. Everything we said about the teams was 100% right. They just all listened to the podcast because we're so fucking popular that all the teams were like, you know what? These guys are right. Yeah. And all the teams that needed to pull up their socks were like, you know what? These Parc Ferme boys knows what the fuck's going on. So let's just fix everything that they want. And then they did. So I think you're welcome is a better statement to all the teams.
I like that angle. I like that spin.
It's all about perspective.
I think it's all about perspective. It is all about perspective. Who are you guys most impressed with on this weekend and this race day? Drew?
I'm going to give it up to Liam Lawson right away. He survived the race. We'll start there.
Last, but still,
it doesn't matter. You survived the race.
Finished.
He finished the race in the worst car. Let's put this out there. AlphaTauri has had more drivers than points this year. That's enough said. They've had more drivers than points. And that kid got in a car that's subpar on every level and finished the race with zero F1 experience and gets into a very complicated, tight race with little abilities to overtake. And watching him and Leclerc at the end battle it out was awesome. I thought that was really cool to watch because you have somebody who should be at the front of the grid racing for podiums back there fighting with Liam Lawson on his first day at the job. So
awesome for who? But
what's that?
Awesome for who?
Awesome. Well, everyone knows how we feel about Ferrari, or I feel about Ferrari. I don't want to speak for everyone, but simple answer. I'm going to get up to Liam Lawson, man. Good for you, kid. Keep going. I'm excited to see you in the future because I think this will exemplify a good seat and a good future for you.
I think I'm impressed with everyone except Ferrari. As Drew said, I think everyone did a fantastic job. Who am I the most impressed with? Unpopular opinion, probably Logan Sargent. He was in the top 10. Holy shit. Yeah, he crashed and everything and kind of ended shitty, but wow, just to see him in the top 10 and to start, that was that was insane. You know, I wish he hadn't made that mistake or spun out or crashed. I wish he would have continued, but I was impressed by his drive and how well he did up to that point. So my hat goes
the
off
way
to
he
him.
rode that folding chair, buddy. He rode that folding chair perfectly the whole race, bro. He stayed in the same corner the whole way. Oh,
I feel like he had more seat time in the folding chair than he did in the actual car.
Bravo, 100% he did. 100% he did.
Oh, tried.
At least he was consistent in the chair.
Talking about consistency, I'm gonna echo what Thomas said. And it gets a little bit deeper into what had happened. Even with Logan Sargent's crash, he lost hydraulic function with his power steering, and that's why like he crashed during the race. But the point is, I forgot what corner it was, but he kept on hitting the curbs again and again and again, and that's why his hydraulic system went out. So consistency, I'm quite impressed. He's really trying to come into his own, and just like representing Williams. And on that note, I'm not just looking at Logan Sargent, I'm looking at Alex Albon. The dude was P2 or P3 in quali. Like, that guy with that car, come on.
I think he's the new tire whisperer. Didn't he do like 40 laps on a set of soft tires? Wet, dry, wet. Like, that's bananas, dude.
Yeah, no, I think honorable mention should go to Alex Albon. I'm going to give it to Pierre Gasly as well, because they needed a big finish and he came up with a good race and a good result. That car looked really strong. And I know we haven't talked about him yet, but, let's talk about Max. I mean, we talked about a little bit the dominance last episode and how it's becoming more and more impressive and how you're starting to root from him. And I think it was someone shared a meme in the Discord channel, link in the description, by the way, that I forget exactly what it was, but it was, it rains, it pours, a million tire changes, pit stops, and throughout it all, Max is in front. Like, the one consistency in that race, you talk about consistency, Ed, was Max was in first place. First. And
I'm gonna just throw this out here. Do you think that this was Max's best race of the season?
Yes.
Hands down.
Yeah,
like,
I think
everything was literally thrown at the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Honestly. Like, it's just...
I agree immensely.
Crazy.
I think that there was so many variables in this race that could have went a different direction, and he still steered it towards a W. And the whole, you have the best car, you have the best whatever, that kind of goes out the window when shit like this happens. And, having a great team and, on point team orders, the radio's on fire, just all the right calls through the whole pit crew. Everybody showed up to bat. And I think that helps Max be his best. But when you watch him on the exact same set of inters that Checo had, that's 2 laps older because he pitted 2 laps later, he was chewing up 4 seconds a lap. 7 seconds? Oh, well, fuck my math. 7 seconds a lap? That is bananas. That is, you can't say anything to that.
Respect.
Like, that's just a respect level that, like, he is just in another zone. And, like, I'm not becoming a Max fan because his bedside manner is fucking brutal. I don't know if you heard, like, him comments about Fernando Alonso being like, yeah, he was almost as fast as me this week. Like, he has no, he's the worst. But, like, man, he'll go down in history. Like, he's just showing, he's proving a masterclass to everybody watching Formula One this year. And I alluded to it earlier on in the last podcast that, like, we are going to be privileged and honored to have watched this season, much like Schumacher's, in the 90s and stuff when he was running amok in early 2000s. Just being privileged enough to watch such a great at action. And so we should just be thankful on some level, as much as I hate the guy, that we at least get to enjoy some of this before things change up.
So what do we think, you touching on Red Bull and his teammate, what do we think about Perez's performance on the weekend? Came in third, had a good result. Where do we rank this for him? He didn't crash. He finished. He had a solid race. Where does this rank in terms of his races for the year? And what do we think is his outlook for the rest of the year and also moving into 2024 for 2025?
I'm gonna say it's a solid like 3 meh
Out of
3 out of
of
what? Yeah.
3 out of 10 meh, because
That's worse than a
And
meh. I'd say like a
sorry.
5 out of 10's a meh.
And just to clarify, are you saying 3 out of a 10 is his race performance or is his outlook for the next foreseeable future? What does 3 out of 10 actually represent?
well, since Miami, he's just been consistently like not himself. Like not the Checo that we all know that pushes, not the Checo that we know that can manage tires, not the Checo we know that will push the envelope and make sure that if he needs to take that win, he'll take that win. Like at the start of the season, it was good. Like he was really pushing. Now it just feels like meh. And I'm not gonna discount the fact that Mr. Helmut Marko like kind of puts that pressure on him, and it messes with the driver. Like if you're not in the the best state of mind that you have, you're not going to be able to perform driving, because like the amount of concentration that you would need in order to perform at the highest level is just, it's insane. So partly his fault, partly the fault of his team. I mean, that's what Red Bull and AlphaTauri is, and how they deal with their drivers. But like I'm really rooting for him to want just come back like the old Checo, like the Checo that like destroyed everyone from last place to first. I think that was like 2021. That Checo, I miss that guy because like he's not that, he's just a ghost of himself, his former self.
R.I.P. Checo.
Does he have already a contract extension into next year or no?
Yeah, he's getting to 2024. He signed. It's the end of next year. 2025 season is up for grabs.
You know what? I think he has to. I think he's in the same place as almost as Danny Rick. I think he has to fucking perform, for the rest of the season and next year if he wants to keep that seat. Otherwise, I don't see him being at Red Bull. Honestly, the pressure is getting to him so far this year, as Ed said. The drive that he kind of lost the drive. I don't know if it's because Max got to his head and he constantly sees Max doing so much better in the car and outperforming him, or what it is, but he lost that drive. He's not in the right state of mind, and the fire inside him is not burning as strong as it should. He kind of almost seems like he gave up for the season, for the year. Obviously with the points and everything, there's no way he's going to win the championship, but he's still second. He should still strive for that, and it just doesn't seem he's striving as much as he should be.
Can I just pose a question while we're talking about this? Are we being a little bit hard on Checo?
I was going to say this is probably the best race he's had forever. Yeah,
he's second in the drivers' championship. I think our expectations for him are so astronomical because of the performance of Max and how he commands that car. But really, if you look at it on a macro, if we look at it compared to the rest of the field, he's had a few shit races. For sure. He's had some shitty qualifyings, 100%. But like, when we look at it overall, is he really being that bad? Are our expectations too high, or is he really performing that poorly?
I don't think he's that bad. Like, yes, did he get in his head? Did he have a couple bad races? Yes. I don't think he's been able to shake it fully. But when you have somebody as like with it and stoically confident as Max beside you, it can definitely get inside your head. Like, this guy's just winning and winning and winning. He can't do any wrong. And when you're up against apples to apples, somebody like that, like, that's a tough thing to do. Like, Checo has to be very headstrong, and he hasn't been. And like you said, Walker, I'm with you on that. Like, I think we shit on Checo a lot, but like, that's also because we have arguably one of the best driver performances in a season we've ever seen, ever in Formula One. And so, yes, compared to that, everything's going to lag behind. You can't have two Maxes. That's just impossible. It's not going to work. So do I think we're a little harsh on him? Yeah. Do I think Red Bull is going to do something about it, like a shape up or ship out kind of thing. I think so too. But like, he's definitely got his seat next year. I don't think Red Bull's going to pay him not to race. Like McLaren did with Danny Rick, they paid him to not race. So I don't think that's in the cards, because I still think he plays a good number two. He gives just enough points to ensure them a constructors championship, but not enough points to contest Max's driver championship. So I think he's sitting exactly where he needs to be. I just think he needs to get a little bit more points because Red Bull needs to get on TV a little bit more.
So here's a follow-up question to all of you. Who else in the field right now can extract more from that car than Checo? Anyone? And if so, who would that be?
Albon.
Fernando.
Fernando.
I'd love to see Fernando Alonso in that car, man. That guy is the grittiest fucking dude I've ever seen. Like, watching that guy race, every time you saw him going into that third corner, or that whatever one the banked one is, I don't know the corners. I'm not that into this. I can't count corners. And they all have names. Apparently every corner in this whole F1 thing's got names. I know a couple of them, but like, give me a fucking break. That bank corner, he was taking the low line every time. He was watching them. Everyone was losing grip. He knew everyone was going into that corner super slow, and just watching him make game time decisions on the fly and just doing what everyone else isn't doing is a masterclass. It's so absolutely impressive to see him, and like, you just watch experience play out. And I would love to see him in a Red Bull car. And do I think he'd be beating Max? I actually don't. I think he would fight with Max like a lot. Like, he would go into corners, like the first corner. He wouldn't be miles ahead what I think he is with Checo right now. But yeah, I'd love to see Fernando there.
Very interesting.
This is going to be reminiscent of McLaren with Alonso and Lewis, if that were to actually happen. What do you guys think?
What, to see Lewis in a Red Bull seat?
No. Like, so.
You mean Fernando in a Red Bull seat?
Yeah, Fernando in a Red Bull seat.
Oh, yeah. I don't. I think Fernando's in a much different place in his career now. Like, he's just has a whole different headset going into racing. Would I see him in a Red? I don't know. I don't know.
Who would be number one driver?
Well, Max would be number one, but you know what? Max would never let a Fernando come to the team. I think he would veto that shit in a hurry. Speaking of potential career issues, we have Danny Rick as well, who second race back breaks his hand. He's out for a number of weeks, at least the next race. Where does his future stand? A, in general, and B, what happens if Liam gets in that car and really starts making some progress? Do they go back to the seasoned vet, or do they change their minds and maybe invest more of their time in a potential future number one driver?
I was thinking about this on the drive in. Sorry, Thomas. I know you were going to chime in there because you got super excited. I could see. You know what? Rock it, dude. You're so. Look at the smile on his face.
You know what? I lost my train of thought now, Drew. Thanks to you. So you go ahead and say what you were going to say on your drive-in.
Fine. I'll just go fuck myself then. Well, I think I was on the drive-in and I was thinking about this. You know, the scenario where like you're with a girl and you don't want to be with her anymore, but like you also don't want to break up with her, so you want to like get broken up with, so you do something stupid on purpose so that like you get broken up with, so that you don't look like the bad guy. I was thinking, I'm like, did Danny Rick, not that I'm assuming he tried to break his hand, no one wants to do this, but like, what a good out. Because like, we haven't really seen him perform in this, but like, is he maybe nervous a little bit about like getting in a car and like this is his last shot at it, and if he doesn't perform, then like, oh no, like this is where his career ended and like he didn't get the last go at it, and like what a good exit. Like, oh, I broke my hand, oh, I can't recover, I'll never be the same driver. Like, what a good scapegoat on his way out, and be like, oh yeah, I retired after an injury. Like, what a good way out without being like, oh, I just can't race anymore because I'm not good enough. That's what I immediately thought. I was like, yeah, well, this is a good way to take an exit in the easy way.
Makes sense. It's an interesting outlook. What I was gonna say is, considering what AlphaTauri did with De Vries, I would not be surprised if they shake it up and say, you know what, Daniel Rick, we're gonna give Liam Lawson a chance, and we're gonna put you aside, and we're gonna see how he does. I would not be surprised at all if that would be the outcome. I hope that's not the outcome. I don't have anything against Liam Lawson. I thought he did really, really well on his debut. I like him as a person, as a driver so far from what I've seen. But at the same time, a huge part of me wants Danny Rick to be racing and to be in a Formula One seat.
That's not so far away, guys. Like based on history with Toro Rosso or Alpha Tauri and Red Bull, they've done it in the past. They bring in a new driver when another driver isn't performing, and yeah, they make that decision like on the fly. Remember what happened to Kvyat, what happened to Gasly, what happened to Albon. It could happen. I mean, right now, Danny Rick he's done. Like you need your hands to race. And
You do?
yeah,
So
you do.
odd.
No fucking way.
And just to answer what Drew was asking earlier about him trying to use this as an out. I mean, I'm not going to give excuses for Danny Rick either, but for that crash, like he had a choice either to hit Piastri, T-bone him, or crash. And the moment I saw that crash, and I apologize for anyone who's in the Discord, if I wrote that not in the spoilers, I apologize right now, and I'm not going to do that again.
Apology
Slap on my
accepted.
hand.
Apology accepted.
Yeah, I saw it immediately. Like he didn't let go of the steering wheel, and that was it. I was like, something's up. And he said his hand. I'm like, oh no, it's over. So, at this point, like Helmut's looking at him. Helmut's looking at Liam Lawson. Helmut just did the sacking of De Vries earlier this year, so it's just like absolute turmoil in the Red Bull camp. So anything could happen. I see Liam Lawson actually taking this all the way to the end. If Danny Rick does not heal, or if he does, Helmut's going to be like, "Nah, we're done with you. You had your chance. You messed it up. You had your injury. So I think we're going to take it with a younger driver."
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, what is the upside of having Danny Rick carry on? Let's say he's out for another 3 or 4 races. Where is that upside in having him come back in and take time away from Liam Lawson
Just
or
marketing,
another
dude.
young driver?
Marketing and money. Yeah, you got it, dude.
Yeah.
For anyone who isn't watching the YouTube, Thomas was giving me the money between the fingers sign. And yeah, I think you're bang on, guys. It's just a marketing ability to push Danny Rick, who's huge in the US, where a lot of the money's being pumped into right now. And I think it was a marketing play from the beginning, because long-term, Danny Rick's not their answer. Danny Rick does not fit in their young drivers program. It has nothing to do with it. He was a stopgap because they'd rather see Danny Rick and his marketability than Nick De Vries. But is it just me, or is Liam Lawson? He's one of those guys that's first and last name all the time, where it's like we talk about Lewis or we talk about Max, but it's always Liam Lawson. I like that. Like Danny Rick.
Do you?
It's always Danny Rick.
Fair enough. So we're heading into Monza next week, Temple of Speed, as they call it. What are we looking forward to for next week?
Ooh, I have a good episode title. I'm going to call it MonzaCake. Nice. Nice.
Did that just come to you right now?
Yes, it did, because you said Monza, and I'm like, MonzaCake. And so I was just like, yeah, MonzaCake. That's definitely going to be the next title.
Good. So we're going to talk about Monza for like 2.5 minutes, and it's going to be the title of the entire episode?
1,000%. I have done more ridiculous things in my life.
Fair enough. As has been discussed earlier.
Yes.
Pre-recording.
Yes. Pre-recorded, yeah.
Okay, so other than a good episode title, do you have anything constructive to say?
I
Just
do.
in general about life, or like, what are we talking here?
About Monza, about the race.
Yeah, I'm very much
No,
looking forward
Thomas,
to it.
you want to go?
Okay, I'll go fuck myself.
Drew, what is up with you today? You're just
We'll come back to Drew.
all over.
We'll come back to Drew. Let him think about it. Okay.
Go, Thomas. Go. You go.
Monza.
Monza, it's a good track. I like watching the race there. It's an interesting track. It's Italy. Who doesn't like Italy? Other than that,
we
I
should
don't
go
have
back
much
to
to
Drew.
say.
I don't know.
I don't know. Monza's a
Like
good
Italy.
track.
I
It's
don't
going
know.
to be an interesting race. It's in Italy. Let's go.
All right. We should have stuck with Drew. Ed, you want to try and save this?
Yeah, I'll take the.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Fine. Well, I already know it's gonna be an interesting race because I'm gonna go back to 2021 between Lewis and Max when Max parked his car on top of Lewis's head on the first corner, which is apparently called Prima Variante. So I don't know what that means. But anyway,
Just look that up. You were cheating. Don't hand me that shit like you know all the corner names, bro.
I am looking at it right now. That's what
looked it up. It's not like you had it in your back.
No, I looked it up. I'm being honest here. I don't know the corner names either. I'm just looking at.
To be honest, you are that type of guy that you look like you would tell the CRA that like they accidentally gave you too much money back on your taxes, bro. You look like that kind of guy.
I will neither confirm nor deny that. Anyway, so on to Monza. Like, for me, I just want to see Williams do well again. I don't know what my obsession is with Williams, being that they're the supposedly the slowest team. They're like the major underdog of the entire grid, and I just want them to do more. And with the setup that they had when they showed up at Zandvoort, not that much downforce. They have it like in the middle between like good downforce and good straight line speed. Being that Monza is a faster track, I see them performing even better, and I want to see Albon again in Q3. Drew, your turn.
From my understanding, Williams was not supposed to do very well in Zandvoort, and I think they showed up to bat. I had a lot of weather leaning on that. I think there was a lot of the weather going on there that gave them that ability to do that, like you mentioned, because of the downforce setup that they have in the rake and stuff. They are expected to do better. They're supposed to be a fast track kind of car, much like the Canadian race, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to see if our predictions pre halftime show to come to fruition, because this last race was very not predictable because of the weather. It threw a big wrench in it, and I think that if it's a dry day, that we're going to see a lot of their true colors shine through. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. The race fans in Italy are always just going ham. Unfortunately, they don't have a team to cheer for this year, but maybe a couple of fans can volunteer and to jump in the pit crew and do some fucking work. Just my 2 cents.
So our Monza commentary started off pretty rough, and I think we elevated it to mediocre. So good job, everybody. I'm just going to chime in. I'm going to talk about Ferrari a bit. I think Ferrari is going to be an interesting story, home race. I'm really rooting for them. I hope they do well. It's a low downforce track, lots of speed. So, to your point, Ed, Williams might have a bit of a chance. They have a pretty quick car. Alpine might be up there again. So it'll be, my mediocre commentary is that I think it'll be interesting. So let's give our top 4 predictions really quick, 1 to 4. Thomas, start us off.
As always, Mr. Max is going to be 1. Number 2, I am going to say Lewis. Number 3, I am going to say Checo. 4, Alonso.
Drew?
Okay. 1, Max. 2, Checo. 3, Alonso. 4, George.
I like that. Well, Max is first, 100%.
Thank you for clarifying.
I'm going to say Norris, and then Perez, and then Sainz.
All right, I'm going to go Max, Charles, Lewis. I'm going back with Gasly, number 4.
Oh,
Gonna
there
bring
you
it
go.
home.
I knew it was
two
going to
for
say
two.
Gasly. I knew it was going to say Gasly.
All right, so we are going to end things off here with the nation's favorite game. Name that sponsor. You know how it's played right now. I'm going to name 2 Formula One car sponsors. You have to let me know which car they are on and what they do. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, we are.
Have you been studying?
Nope.
No, but
That was a gentleman's bet. We told each other
can
that we
we-
weren't going to study.
No studying.
Can we add a small rule that Drew can't say logistics for everything he doesn't know, unless it's actually logistic that he knows?
No, that's a terrible rule. Unless, you know what? This is a democracy. I'm Canadian. We're Canadian. Some of us.
No,
some
no.
of us are
No,
Lithuanian.
we're gonna just stick with the rules. I think we can't silence people. We're not here to take away people's freedoms
Correct. Thank you.
of speech
appreciate
or
you,
otherwise. So
You know what? I
if-
wasn't going to do logistics anyway. I was just going to say crypto blindly.
All right, ready. First sponsor from the Dutch Grand Prix is Love.
Wow.
Love. Love. Love.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's Haas, and it's a condom brand.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say it's McLaren, and I'm gonna say something as well, like something with sex toys or something like that.
Okay.
Williams Logistics.
Williams and Logistics. Williams and Logistics?
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
think
the
is
new
what he
Williams
meant.
logistics team.
Thomas, you're the closest. It was on the McLaren car, and they actually had to rearrange one of their main title sponsors, who is Velo, and Velo makes vape pens and accessories. However, due to some laws in the Netherlands, they could not advertise for those type of products, so they rearranged the letters on the side of the car from Velo to Love. It's a little trick
That's
question.
a trick fucking question, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
So Love
anyone paid
actually
attention-
isn't a company, dog.
It's not.
no, but it was a sponsor on the car for the Dutch GP. That was the question.
That's why he did mention the Dutch
Bro.
GP. He did mention it.
Bro.
The stipulation, I call
If
it.
you can't
It's
keep
good.
up, if you can't keep up, just leave.
It's good.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
Safe. It's good.
Sure.
All right, number two. A little easier. No tricks here. Jack Daniels.
Seriously?
Alcohol brand. And
Okay, Thomas.
I'm gonna go or whiskey, alcohol or whiskey, and I'm gonna go with Haas.
Okay, Drew.
It's a Tennessee whiskey. And it is on Red Bull.
Cool. Ed.
Edward.
Same Tennessee whiskey. I actually drink that.
Congrats.
That surprises me. He looks more
Have
like
you
a
heard his
G&T
stories
guy.
from the beach? I don't know,
Ferrari.
man.
Ferrari.
Okay. Well, you're all half right. You know this alcohol whiskey company, and it is a sponsor of McLaren again.
Really? McLaren's just cleaning up with these sponsors, eh?
Zach Brown. Zach Brown.
There you go.
Zach
Touche.
Brown.
That explains it. I can see
figured
that.
out.
Like
Yeah,
you
Zach
said.
Brown's blood type is probably fucking Jack Daniels. Are you kidding me?
This
You're
episode was sponsored by
kidding.
Zach Brown. And that's how you play Name That Sponsor. The nation's favorite
Daniels.
new game. Zach Daniels. There you go. You're just on fire today. MonzaCake? Zach
MonzaCake.
Daniels?
Sit down with a little
Fucking-
Zach Daniels and have a MonzaCake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the
That's the
episode.
title. That's the
That's
name
the
of
title
episode
right there.
So,
All right,
I don't know if
everybody.
they have that many characters, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out.
You can figure
Great
it out. Thank you for listening to Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We are here every week talking about everything Formula One. Don't forget to come join us on the Discord. Link is in the description. Rate, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you for listening, and we will chat with you next week.
Peace.
Later.
To Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We talk race reviews, news from the paddock, and bring you everything from the world of Formula One. And now your hosts, Drew, Walker, Ed, and Tomas.